13. So the house today is empty. Because we both know how if I was 30 minutes late for your pickup, you would have slaughtered me. But here's a man who spent 27 years of his time in jail, and he was still able to preach about peace. It takes more than a human being.
Yeah.
So that's why he will always be the father of the nation. We'll always honor him because of the role that he played in South Africa. That's why on his birthday, they say just spend 67 minutes of your time doing something good for the world, because he spent 67 years of his life trying to make the world a better place. Okay, so yeah, that is why he's played such a. But for me, the more I read about Martin Luther King, the more I see. I don't know if this is yeah. So it's a lovely part of Soweto that I guess unfortunately the world doesn't see that much. Huh?
Right.
Yeah. Is the AC okay, or must I bring it up?
You can bring it up. You can bring it up a notch. Thank you.
Bricks are really pretty.
So now this one here on the right, this will be one of the very few three-star B&Bs that we have over here. This will be Mama Lolo's B&B. So maybe next time come and stay with us here. Here you can see there's no electric fencing, no security, no holding a gun. It's just an open guest house. You can enjoy your views there by the balcony or have your coffee here by the garden. So this will be Mama Lolo's B&B. Okay. Now on the left, this will be one of the most beautiful houses that we have in Soweto.
That's beautiful.
I won the house of the year competition about 3 times. Now houses, it's 4 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, lounge, sitting room, study, double garage, and a swimming pool, and that's about $110,000 US. That's what you say, is it upper, lower, or middle?
Middle. I would say middle for this area.
You say middle? What do you say? Lower. What do you say?
I said mixture, lower and middle.
That's what I say. It looks a mixture to
Mixture.
me.
Yeah.
But it can be, there's no mixture. It can either be lower, middle, or upper. Once you're trying to be the
Middle. It's middle.
Middle.
Probably middle.
Middle.
It's middle
So everyone's
then.
saying middle.
Like dishes on the house, yeah.
So everyone's saying middle.
Yes.
Yeah. So everyone's what? This will be the lower class. Now,
Okay.
this will be the accommodation for the black mine workers.
Okay.
About 12 to 16 men would share 1 bedroom. 1 bedroom will be equal to 3 windows. Now these are men, they're not allowed to live here with their kids or their wives, just for men. When
Okay.
this area was built in the 1930s, there was no electricity, no water, and no toilets. In 29 years in the New South Africa, the conditions are still the same. So the people that are staying there are the descendants of the mine workers. So some of them, their fathers, some of them, their grandfathers, some of them, their great-grandfathers stayed here like this. But even for them, the new South Africa still looks very much like the old South Africa. The roof materials will be made from asbestos. Asbestos, which is a good material for human beings. And now this is happening in the democratic South Africa.
Wow.
Now, the colorful houses that you see on the far left, those ones we call them the RDP houses, otherwise known as the Mandela houses. To get one of those houses, you have to be unemployed or earn about $220 US a month. Now in South Africa, one of our biggest problems, we don't have any natural disasters, no earthquakes, no tsunamis. But one of our biggest evils is corruption. What I mean by that, everyone that's in here is on the waiting list and qualifies to get that house free of charge. But people that are in government administration, myself, Tabang, who's in the middle class, I can go to them, give them money, and they'll put me at the top of the list. Let's look at from here. It does not need any scientific research. If that project was done properly, remember I said those are the social houses. We were going to build those houses, take the first lot of people, move them in, demolish, and eventually everyone would have a house. What they do, they take someone from a different place, put him literally at your doorstep, give him the electricity, the water, electricity that your great-grandfather, grandfather, your father, yourself and your kids haven't had. So you have about 4 or 5 generations that have lived in here in similar conditions. And that's where now the challenge is. Because like I said, they don't have proper toilets, water, and electricity. The green and white containers that you see in the middle, that is what they use as a toilet. Those are the septic toilets. They don't have legal electricity, and also with the water, they use communal taps. So today, 3 windows are shared by about 2 families. One family will have about 4 kids. Unfortunately, it's mostly, sometimes the poorest people that have the most amount of kids. So when you enter by the door, it'll be a bedroom, and that's where mommy and daddy will be sleeping. And there's a small little bit kitchen, but that kitchen at night becomes a kid's bedroom. Once the kids are 13, 14, mommy and daddy needs their privacy. So mommy and daddy is going to talk to 2 or 3 other neighbors. They'll put money together and they'll build those. So you see those ones over there? That is where you have some of those. So it is also broken the family structure. You can imagine the kids come here for eating, they go there for sleeping. No one is overlooking them at night. What are they getting up to? And that's where things like alcohol abuse, drug abuse, teenage pregnancy become a bit of a challenge in our community because the family structure has been broken. Because there is no adult that is overlooking. So you have about 8,000 people that are staying in the community, majority of them who are unemployed. Now, you know, Mala people, most of the time, people are going to tell you, you're going to hear all sorts of stories about crime in South Africa or in Johannesburg. I just want you to keep this part in mind. I don't know of any millionaire or billionaire anywhere in the world that woke up one day and said, you know what, I am so rich. I just want to walk around taking people's cell phones and money. It is poverty that makes good people do bad things.
Exactly.
And if you're living in a country where the government doesn't care that much about you, it doesn't give you much option to play around with. And that's where it becomes a problem, you know, when it comes to that. And that's why, I mean, for us in South Africa or Johannesburg, a lot of our crimes are not violent crimes. No one is going to come here to us and shoot at us and take our cell phones. They'll ask for them. If we give them, we're going to continue with the talk. But if we fight, that's where you're going to be a problem. And I'm talking about Yeah.
I got it on my sister in my phone.
Yeah.
Are you pregnant?
Yeah,
On the
you
way
got it
back
made.
from Pillingsburg, they were explaining to me that there's a tribe that sits on the
Yeah.
we passed another soccer stadium.
Yeah.
Solves a whole lot of issues right there.
Because now,
Pick up the traffic.
well, you know, like, they pay the government a service to come and fetch the dustbins at their gate. They pay. So it doesn't make sense why they don't do that. And the government will send out a truck every week to come in every Tuesday. The truck will come and bring. So this is a funeral that you see on the right. So this is a convoy involved in the Second World War. This is where they come and recuperate, nurse their injury. After the World War, they sold it to the Transvaal government to build it as a black option hospital. So the hospital is sitting on about 70 hectares of land. There are about 3,400 beds, and there are about 6,700 staff members, including my mother, who's a nurse over here. So healthcare will be free, but free doesn't mean quality. Because about 50% of Soweto will be the middle class, 30 will be the lower, and only 10 will be the upper class. So today we have more people in the middle class than any other classes. Because I think for you, at the beginning of the tour, you thought there's more lower class. But you can see as we are driving that we are actually seeing more houses than the shanty towns. Yeah? So we are actually seeing a lot more houses than those.
This was the bathroom. Yeah.
This is where I'm going to try and paint a picture about the 1976 Soweto student boy. Okay. Now in South Africa, in the year 1948, the government of the National Party introduced a law or an act of apartheid. Apartheid was made a law. In 1953, the government introduced what they called Bantu education. Now, Bantu education would mean blacks-only education. To put it bluntly, I'll say Bantu education was the type of education that is going to domesticate black people. The reason I say that, going to school as a black child, some of the subjects they will learn will be cleaning, cooking, washing, environmental studies, and basic maths. So thinking about it, Bantu education is not a good type of education to give to people because of the color of their skin. There's no doctor, lawyer, or scientist that is going to follow that. They're really labor workers. In 1974, the government sent out another instruction, or they introduced a new law And they said, as of 1975, Afrikaans would be used as a medium of instruction. So what that means, the students are learning in two languages, English and their home language. They withdraw their home language and replace it with Afrikaans. It's obviously not a good way to introduce a new language in a new country. Let's take it for example in USA, your country. President Biden goes to Parliament or to the White House and says, from next year, you're all going to have to start speaking, for example, Chinese. It won't be a good way to introduce the Chinese language to America. Am I right?
Right.
So it's got, of course, a lot of trouble. So that's exactly what happened. So 1975, that law was passed. Now the biggest challenge is that the teachers, they can't talk this language. They have to teach it. State security was monitoring the school to make sure that it is enforced. And because it was torture for the teachers, embarrassing yourself, standing in front of this class, trying to speak this language, but you can't. A lot of the teachers will resign, students dropping out. But for those that stayed, they put themselves together and they called themselves the Soweto Student Movement. Now they had a meeting on the 13th of June 1976 to try and come up with ways or ideas of how they can fight this. Now on that day, they decided to write down a memorandum with all of their concerns. We want apartheid, we want equal opportunities, economic opportunities, Mandela and other political prisoners to be released. Now they have to come up with an effective way of sending this document to the police. If the six of us here wanted to protest today, maybe for better education in South Africa, chances of us being heard with just six of us are very little. But if we can each organize 1,000 people, then it will go into some momentum. And that was the plan. Now the plan was, they are going to make a stop at all of the schools, open the gates, so they can gather more and more students. So that when they hand over this document, it's not 6 people, but it's 1,000. It will be more effective. Now the protests would have started in a school called Naledi High School, and then went to Morris Isaacson High School. So they'd go to the school, open the gates, more students could join, and they'd go to the next school. Now this is where I'll share with you a part of my museum. Okay. Now over here, there you go. We have the group of students. They are holding placards. They are singing struggle songs that were perceived as terrorist songs, one of them being Nkosi Sikeleli Africa, which means God bless Africa. It was regarded as a struggle song during apartheid. Now this is them making a stop one school to the other. You do say with the placard, they say away with Africans, or Africans must be abolished. Now even the ladies were part of the protest. Now when they got to school number 5, that is when one of their political leaders, his name was Tsietsi Mashinini. Now he stood on top of the rock and he told the students that I have been notified that the police are on their way. But this is a peaceful protest. We just want to take this document to the police and then we'll go home. And that's what they continued. Now as they continued, they came down this hole heading that side. And when they were at the corner, that's where they met by about 200 police officers. Now while they are at the corner, they are telling the police that we are here in peace. We just want to collect the last, because Orlando East was the last high school, and then we'll go home. Well, now the challenge is, the police officers were speaking to them in Afrikaans, a language that they can understand. What one of the police officers had said, he drew a line using his foot, saying, if you guys come over this line that I'm drawing with my foot, I'm going to order them to shoot. Came in here, then come over there. He went over the line. They set the dog to bite him. As the dog was biting him, his friends came to his rescue and they stoned the dog to death. As soon as the police witnessed the day, they killed a dog. That is where all hell broke loose like this. So as this is happening, that is when now a 13-year-old boy, Hector Peterson, was shot. Now when he was shot, Musa Makubo saw him, picked him up, and he started running with him in his hands. As they're running together, the sister of Hector, hey, that's my brother. What happened? He's been shot, I'm taking him to the clinic. And as they were running, that is when this picture was taken by photographer Sam Nzema, who was a journalist working for the World newspaper. Now, 3-4 days later, this picture is now all over the world. And now that is when the world came into our favor, because they were asking questions that what could have a 13-year-old boy done to deserve to die like this? The government never had any answers, but they are looking for someone that they could blame. Who are they looking for? Mbusa Makubo and the cameraman. And that's when Mbusa Makubo became the most, the cameraman. And he ran away, went to Botswana, and later in Nigeria. Now, since 1976, August, up until today, we still do not know where or what has happened. He cannot disappear from the face of the world. Now, this will be one of the most prestigious pictures in our history of South Africa. You cannot talk about our history without this one. It was this picture that showed the world how bad life is like for black people in South Africa. So from here, everything that represented government buildings, businesses, cars, and all of that was all torched or destroyed by the students. What they would do, this one would have been a steel dustbin lid. They would try to use this to duck bullets. Okay, and they would have the stones. Now, in terms of deaths, on the 16th of June, 22 students were killed. But during the whole uprising, we say between 600 confirmed and 1,000 students were killed. And even during the funerals, they would be asking questions. That how long are we going to be shot, choked? How long is this going to be happening? With a lot of those funerals chaired by Archbishop Desmond. Now, you know, a lot of people, most of the time when we share stories about apartheid in South Africa, there are some people that think that all white people were supportive of apartheid, but that is not the case. We did have a number of white people that are very much against it. 2 of them are buried here, Joe Slovo and Helen Joseph. They put it in their will that they want to be buried with the people that they were fighting. So I say, I just like to share some of these pictures because these are the pictures that never made it to the front page. So not all white people are supportive of apartheid. We did have a number of them who were very much against it. So over here will be a group of white students from the other side that are saying, we are in solidarity with the students of Soweto. So today, June 16th, South Africa will be on holiday. This is where myself, mother, uncle, grandmother, we all wear our school uniform. Because the students could not finish that march, we will finish it on their behalf to say to the class of 1976 for putting your life on the line so that we can live in a democratic South Africa. Thank you. So we will meet at the confrontation corner and finish that march. If you have a look, this guy here wearing a black hat at the back, that's me. Can you see me? So this will be us every year on the 16th of June. It's Youth Day, and that's where we'll show commemoration to the class of 1976. And